Hello learners, welcome to Drishti CUET undergraduate program and I am Shashank welcoming you all in today's session. So learners, in today's session I will be discussing with you the topic of latitude and longitude. So latitude and longitude, this is the topic of geography, and in this session guys we are going to discuss about the latitude and longitude and what are their specialities, what are their utilities about these things. First of all guys, if I talk about latitude and longitude, what is the nature of these lines? So the nature of these lines is imaginary. So whether it is latitude or it is longitude, both are imaginary lines which are drawn on the globe. So actually guys, there is no such line that exists on this earth that is called latitude and longitude. In reality, what exactly they are? So they are the imaginary lines that is drawn on the globes. So first of all guys, if I talk about latitude and longitude, both of them, they are the imaginary lines, they are being drawn on the globe. Now if I talk about globe, that you can see the model of globe, that is the picture of globe. First of all guys, what exactly is globe? Globe is the model of earth. So in simple terms, if I say globe, what it is the model of earth. Model of earth. And first of all guys, this globe was made by Martin Behem, and who was a German navigator. So Martin Behem, he did made globe, and on globe guys you will find the imaginary lines, that is the latitude and longitude. So on globe you will find imaginary lines, and these lines are called latitude and longitude. So they are called latitude and longitude. First of all guys, they are the lines which are drawn on the globe. So whether it is latitude and longitude, they are the imaginary lines drawn on the globe. So they are the imaginary lines which are drawn on the globe. First of all guys, if I talk about this, why these lines are being drawn. So first of all, we will be discussing before going to Martin Beham and who was he. So first of all guys, the model of earth is globe, and globe was made by Martin Beham. So model of earth is globe and it was made by Martin Beham, and Martin Beham was a German navigator and made globe in year 1492. So in 1492, that is in the coming 15th century, in the late 15th century, he made globe. And first of all guys, on the globe you will find latitudes and longitudes. And if you will just open up the globe, because globe is spherical, and if you will open up the globe, then you will find the lines on them, and once the globe is being opened, that becomes a map as well. So once you will open the globe, that it will become map, and on map also you will find latitudes, longitudes, they are being placed. Now first of all guys, as I have told you, these latitudes and longitudes, they do not exist in reality, they are just fictitious in nature. But first of all guys, before moving to the definition of latitude, longitude and other important things, first of all guys, let's see why these lines were drawn. So first of all we will discuss why latitude and longitude were drawn on globe. At that point of time guys, when the globe was being made, to determine the location of a place, it was very difficult to determine the location of the place, where exactly the place is located. So first of all, the reason was to determine the direction and distance, because once the navigator, they used to sail the ships, at that point of time only they have compass with them, and to determine the direction and distance where exactly they were going, so that was being used through this latitudes and longitudes. So first of all guys, the lines that was drawn to determine the direction and distance, to determine the direction and distance. to determine the direction and distance the globe was made. Other than this, to determine the latitudes and longitudes they were made. Otherwise, to determine the time period. To determine the time period. To determine the time period that was being made. So determine the time period. Other than this, to calculate the date. To calculate the date. And other than this calculation of the date, the next thing that was being used to define the climate change and insolation, because once you are drawn, you do this drawing, so you can understand on which place will receive maximum insolation, where it will receive minimum insolation, and what type of things can happen. So to determine the climate change and insolation, to determine the climate change and insolation, to determine the climate change and insolation, the latitudes and longitudes they were made. So guys, they were made because of these four important reasons why latitudes and longitudes they were drawn on the globe. Is that clear to all of you? So is that clear to all of you guys? What exactly is the globe and what is the purpose of drawing the latitude and longitude on the globe? So these are the four purposes: to determine the direction and distance, to determine the time, to determine the date, as well as to determine the climate change and also the insolation, that is due to which these, you can say, the imaginary lines in the form of latitude and longitudes they were drawn on the globe. So is that clear to all of you guys? And basically guys, this latitude they determines the position of a place. So they are used to, they are used for used for so for basically that is used for the calculation of the position of a place, position of a place, and longitude they are used to determine the time period. They are mainly used, they are mainly used to determine the position of a place, and they are mainly used for calculation of time period, or calculation of time. So basic use of latitude is to determine the position of the place. Position of the place. Other than this, you will find that the objective of the longitude is mainly to calculate the time period of the time period. So is that clear to all of you guys? What are the main purpose of latitude, longitude? Latitude to determine the position of the place, longitude to determine the time period. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you? Now guys, let's start our discussion with the latitude. So now guys, first of all, what is latitude? So the nature of the latitude, as I have told you, it is imaginary lines, and they are horizontal in nature, and that runs from the west to east. That runs from west to. So the nature of the latitudinal lines is imaginary, and they are the horizontal lines. So guys, what exactly is the latitude? So latitude, it is an imaginary line which is drawn parallel to equatorial line towards west to east. They are called latitude. So latitude guys, they are horizontal lines, and what they do, so they are parallel to the equator. Actually guys, in this photo, you can see only one side of the latitude. It is complete circle. So latitude, it is not a half circle, it is complete circle. So you will find that guys, in latitude they are completely circular in shape. So if I talk about the shape of latitude, it is completely circular, circular in. So it is completely circular in shape and they are parallel to the equator and they are parallel. They run parallel to equator. Now what is equator guys? It is 0° latitude. So 0° latitude it is called equator and the lines they run parallel to the and the latitudinal lines they run parallel to the equator. Now guys they are running parallel to the equator and what they represent? They represent first of all that is the location. So first of all what is being represented? Represented by this equatorial line. First of all they represent location of the place. Other than location, what they represent? They represent the insolation of the sun, insolation, insolation. Then they represent climatic condition, climatic condition. Other than this, they represent the biodiversity, biodiversity in the area. So what is being represented through the latitude? So they represent the location. So location of a place, that means where that place is located. Other than this, it defines about the insolation. Insolation is the amount of sunlight that is received by a particular place. So if the place is located on equator, it will witness maximum insolation. And if a place is located around the poles, that will receive minimum insolation. Other than this, climatic condition. Climatic condition, let me tell you, if the place is in equator, so you will find that very hot climate. If it is in between, if it is on Tropic of Cancer, so you will find that the climate is moderate, and if it is on the frigid area that is around the pole, the temperature will be cold. So that you can conclude. Also you can conclude the biodiversity. Like on equator you will find due to the heavy insolation there will be heavy rainfall, and once the rainfall is very heavy then biodiversity will be very much. So there will be very good amount of biodiversity will be there. So this will also define the biodiversity of the area. I hope guys is that clear to all of you. Now what exactly is the latitude? So latitude, first of all, they are the imaginary lines that runs parallel to the equator from west to east. Now guys, how this latitude that represents the place? So basically guys, it is an angular distance which is measured from the center of the earth. So latitude guys, it is an angular distance. So through latitude you can measure the angular distance of a place that is taken from the center of the earth. So latitude, what it is? So it is just an angular distance which is measured from the center of the earth. Now guys, the latitudes they are being parallel to one another. Now let me tell you how this thing is done. Let me tell you. For example guys, this is earth. For example, this is earth. For example, this is earth and this is the center. And this is the center of the earth. And if you are saying 23.5 degree north of equator, so this what it will be do? It will do. So this is 23.5 degree north of equator from both the sides. So it is 23.5 degree north of equator. 23.5 degree north of equator, and the lines that joins is the latitude. So the lines that join from the west to east, this is west to east, this is equator, and this is guys, it is just a complete circle. So it's a complete circle in nature. So it is an angular distance which is measured from the center of the earth. So they are angular distance which is measured on the center of the earth. Is that clear guys? So this line, it is located on 23.5 degree north of the equator. So this line guys, this line, they are being placed on 23.5 degree north of. So this line is being drawn on 23.5 degree north of equator. So guys, it is an angular distance which is measured from the center of the earth. So whenever you want to measure the distance of a place, whenever you want to measure the distance of the place, from where you will calculate the distance? So you will calculate the distance from the center of the earth. Like I have given you this example. If it is 23.5 degree, that is called Tropic of Cancer. So how this 23.5 degree is calculated? That is from the center of the earth. That is from the center of the earth. And 0 degree, guys, it is called the equator. So 0 degree is called. So 23.5 degree, that is from the center of the earth. Is that clear, guys? And if you will see the nature of the latitude, they are complete circle, because of one side we are seeing this. So if you will go another side, so like we have one Tropic of Cancer, and this is the whole circle, because earth is spherical. So you will find that this Tropic of Cancer, it is around the whole circle. Let me explain you to a easy thing. So for example, guys, this is earth, and this 20, for example, this is equator. So equator is like this. So the equator is like this. So on one side you can see this thing, and on another side you will find like this. So that makes the complete circle. So the latitude are complete circle in. So guys, the latitude, they are the complete circle in nature. So they are complete circle in nature. And since equator, it is the equator line is the biggest circle, therefore equator is also known as great circle. So since it is an equator, guys, an equator, it is the largest line. As we will progress further, so the size of the line will start reducing. So equator, it is the largest line. Therefore, equator is also known as great circle. Therefore, equator is also known as great circle. So, equator is also known as great circle. And what you will find, guys, is these lines, they run parallel to one another. So these lines, that is these latitudinal lines, they run parallel to one another. So latitudinal lines run parallel to one another. Therefore, guys, you will find that the distance will always remains the same. So the distance between two lines, distance between two latitudinal lines always remain the same. So distance between two latitudinal lines always remains the same, and the distance is 111.11 kilometers. So the distance between two parallel lines is around 111.11 kilometers. So overall you can take 111. So overall you can take 111 kilometers. So distance between two parallel lines of the two parallel latitude, that is 111.11. So you can take 111 kilometers. So is that clear to all of you guys? Because these all lines, they run parallel to one another. For example, guys, in this you will find this latitude. So this latitude, these latitudinal lines, they are always parallel to one another. So the latitudinal lines, they are always parallel to one another. Therefore, distance between two latitudinal line is always same. And you will find that, my dear learners, that how the latitude divides the earth. Latitude divides the earth into two parts, that is Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. And latitude always runs from the west to east. Why they run from west to east? Because earth rotates from west to east. Because earth rotates from west to east. So what happens, guys, the latitude, divides the earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So the things which are above equator, they are northern, below equator, southern. So the area above equator, it is northern hemisphere, and area below equator, it is called southern hemisphere. So area below equator is called southern hemisphere. So what happens guys, the equator divides the you can say the earth's surface into two hemispheres, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys about this latitudinal lines? Is that clear to all of you? And the distance always remains same on the places. Is that clear guys? Okay. Now let's come to the number of parallels of latitude. So now guys, let's come to the number of parallels of latitude. First of all guys, if you will see this latitude, once it will start going up and once it will reach 90° north, 90° north and 90°. So once the equatorial lines they reaches to the 90° north and 90° south, then it becomes point that will not be in the form of line. This will become point, because once you will start growing up, like in this latitude, once you will start going to this particular place that is on the 90° north, that will become point. So guys, the latitudinal lines at 90° north and 90° south, they become point. So a latitude at 90° converts into a point on the pole. So whenever you will start moving up and whether you will start moving down, so whenever whenever latitudinal lines start moving upward and downward at the pole, it becomes point. At the pole, it becomes point. So first of all guys, the number of parallels of latitude. So now guys, next that comes is the number of parallels of latitude, number of the latitude parallel lines, or number of parallels of latitude. Now guys, how much the parallel of latitude is? If I talk guys about the latitudes, the number of parallels of latitude, so you will start calculating from 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree till 89 degree, because on 90° it will become point. So you will find it is 89. Same condition that happens on the southern hemisphere, 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree until 90° south, that is called south pole, that will become again point. So we have number of parallels, that is 89, 89, plus we have one equator, that is 0° latitude. So plus 9, 9, 18 plus 1, 19, 8, 8, 16 plus 1, 17 and 1. That becomes 170. So 89 and 89, they are the number of parallels of latitude. So they are the number of parallels of latitude, and one, what it becomes, one is the equator, so that becomes 179. Now guys, what happens if you will calculate the two poles as also the parallel lines, that is not directly correct. So if you calculate two poles as the two parallels of the latitude, so if the north pole and south pole is also considered latitudinal lines, if you are considering North Pole and South Pole as also the latitudinal lines, then the number of latitude lines becomes 181, that is 179 plus, and 2 is 1 is North Pole and another is South. So one is North Pole, another is South Pole, then it will become 181 if you will consider North Pole and South Pole as a latitudinal line, then only. But technically what happens ki the North Pole and South Pole, they become point, they do not behave as a latitudinal line, but technically North Pole and South Pole, they become point. They do not, they are not the lines, they become the points. Therefore technically guys, if you, they are not the latitudinal lines, they become point. But if you will calculate this North Pole and South Pole as a latitudinal lines, then the number will become 181, otherwise the correct answer will be 179. And since guys the distance between two parallels of latitude always remains the same, it is 111 kilometer. So 111.11, so you can roughly take it 111 kilometers because they are parallel and the distance between two parallels of latitude is always same. So the distance between two parallels of latitude is always same. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? Then do let me know. Is that clear to all of you guys? Okay. Now let's come to the next thing, that is about the things which are on equator. So the countries which are on equator. So the equator guys, this is 0 degree latitude. So which countries they are located on 0 degree latitude? First of all guys, if you will see the 0 degree latitude that runs from the, in fact, four continents, that is South America, North America, Asia and Oceania. So you will find that guys this equator that to passes through South America of South America, then we have Africa, then we have Asia and Oceania. Now this Colombia and Ecuador, this Colombia, Ecuador and Brazil, they are the countries of the, they are the countries of South America. So they are the countries of South America. So three countries, Colombia, Ecuador and Brazil. Now Sao Tome and Principe. Other than this, Republic of Congo, Uganda, Somalia, Kenya, Democratic Republic of Congo, Gabon. They are located on Africa. Then we have Maldives, that is Maldives and Indonesia. Maldives and Indonesia, they are in Asia. And then we have Kiribati. Kiribati, it is in Oceania. Oceania. So guys, through these four in fact continent, the equator passes, and these are the countries from where the equator passes. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? Then do let me know. Is that clear to all of you guys? So, is that clear to all of you? So, that is Kiribati. Kiribati, it is in Oceania. Is that clear to all of you? From which continents the equator passes? Next, we have guys the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer, it is located 23 and a half degree north of equator. So, now guys, we have Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer, guys, this is 23 and a half degree north of equator. So, it is a latitudinal line. This is located 23 and a half degree north of equator, and from where 23 and a half degree is calculated, that is calculated from the center of the earth. So this is located on 23 and a half degree north of equator, and the distance is calculated from the center of the earth. So the position is north of equator, and angular distance from center of earth is 23 and a half. So this is angular distance is 23 and a half degree, and the position is north of the equator. So 23 and a half degree north of equator is called Tropic of Cancer, and 23 and a half degrees south of equator, that is called Tropic of Capricorn. Now guys, what happens on 21st June on Tropic of Cancer, the sun shines vertically. So what happens, my dear learners? Okay, on 21st of the 21st of the June, the sun shines vertically over the Tropic of Cancer. Therefore, guys, it is considered as the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere. So, what happened, guys? On 21st June, the sun shines above this line, that is above the Tropic of Cancer in the Northern Hemisphere. Therefore, we have the longest day and shortest night, and this is called summer solstice. So this is called summer solstice, means on the day on which sun shines vertically over Tropic of Cancer, sun shines vertically over the Tropic of Cancer, and that makes the longest day and shortest night, and this is called summer solstice, which is in Hindi called Grishma Sankranti. This is called summer solstice or Grishma Sankranti. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? Now, see, next we have from which country the Tropic of Cancer in the from India, sorry, the Tropic of Cancer, guys, that passes from India. So this line Tropic of Cancer, India to Tropic of India, sorry, the Tropic of Cancer, guys, that passes through India. So first of all, we should note that the Tropic of Cancer that passes through India. So I hope, guys, is that clear to all of you? So this is about the Tropic of Cancer that passes from the 8 states of India. So in India, guys, the Tropic of Cancer, that is 23 and a half degree, that passes through the 8 states. Which are those? Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, then Chhattisgarh, then we have Jharkhand, West Bengal, Tripura, and Mizoram. So these are the 8 states from where Tropic of Cancer passes. Now the countries which are located on Tropic of Cancer. So the countries that are located on Tropic of Cancer. Which are those? First of all, it is Taiwan, China, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, Oman, United Arab Emirates. Then we have Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Libya, Niger, Algeria, Mali, Mauritania, Western Sahara, Bahamas, and Mexico. So these are the countries on which Tropic of Cancer. These are the countries located on Tropic of Cancer. Is that clear to all of you guys? So now we have discussed about this Tropic of Cancer and the countries which are located on Tropic of Cancer. Now guys, let's come to the Tropic of Capricorn. So now let's come to the Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south of equator. And this 23.5 degree, this 23.5 degree, it is angular distance from the center of the earth. So this 23.5 degree, this is angular distance from center of earth. And south of equator, this is the position. So this is the position. Now guys, Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn is also an imaginary line. It is also an imaginary line that drawn from west to east at 23.5 degree, 23 degree 30 minutes parallel to equator. So guys, as I have told you, all the latitudinal lines, they are always parallel to one another, but it is in southern hemisphere. So south of equator simply means southern hemisphere. So south of equator, that simply means southern hemisphere. Now guys, the countries that are located on Tropic of Capricorn, the countries which are located on Tropic of Capricorn is Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, then Mozambique, Madagascar and Australia. So these are the countries which are located on Tropic of Capricorn. Now guys, if I talk about winter solstice, so first of all guys, let's talk about this winter solstice, that is on 21st of the, that is generally guys you will find on 21st of the December. 21st of the December, sun shines vertically over Tropic of Capricorn. Sun shines vertically over Tropic of Capricorn. So it is the longest day in southern hemisphere. It is the longest day in the southern hemisphere. So you will find that the longest day in the southern hemisphere. So it is the longest day in the southern hemisphere. So longest day in the southern hemisphere and shortest day in the northern hemisphere. So you will find that it is the it is the longest day in the southern hemisphere and the shortest day in the northern hemisphere. Is that clear to all of you? And 21st December, it is the shortest day in the northern hemisphere. So 21st December, shortest day in northern hemisphere. So northern, it is the shortest day in the northern hemisphere. So 21st December, it is the shortest day in the northern hemisphere and longest day in the southern hemisphere. So is that clear guys? Because on 23rd, 21st December, around 21st December, the sun shines vertically over the Tropic of Capricorn. So that makes the longest day in the southern hemisphere and the shortest day in the northern hemisphere. Is that clear to all of you? That is about what is summer solstice and winter solstice. Is that clear to all of you? So these are these are about the Tropic of Cancer, sorry, Tropic of Capricorn, and about the winter solstice and the countries through which the Tropic of Capricorn pass. So this was about the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Then we have Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle, 66.5 degree north of equator, and Antarctic Circle, 66.5 degree south of. So Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle, that you will find that 66.5 degree north of equator, that is called Arctic Circle, and 66.5 degree south of equator, this is called Antarctic Circle. So is that clear to all of you guys? Is that clear to all of you? And there guys, Arctic Circle, that you will find polar bear. So polar bear, it is found in Arctic Circle, because this Arctic word is derived from the word Arctos. So this word Arctic Circle, it is derived from the word Arctos, and Arctos means bear. So the polar bear, you will find that if they are the native of Arctic Circle, there you will not find on Antarctic Circle. So on Antarctic Circle, because both are, you will find that there is heavy snowfall in this area. So you will find that heavy snowfall. Heavy snowfall in the area. But from Arctic Circle to North Pole, you will find polar bear, but you will not find polar bear in Antarctic Circle. So Antarctic Circle is 66.5 degrees south of equator, and Arctic Circle is 66.5 degree north of equator. Then you have 90 degree north, it is called North Pole, and 90 degree south is called South. And 90 degree north and south means the north of equator. 90 degree north of equator, this is North Pole, and 90 degree south of equator, this is called South. So 90 degree north of equator is called North Pole, and 90 degrees south of equator, it is called South. So is that clear to all of you guys about the North Pole and South Pole? Is that clear to all of you? Now let's come to the next thing, that is about the longitudinal lines. So longitudinal lines guys, they are also imaginary lines. It is imaginary lines in nature, and they run vertical. So they are vertical lines joining the pole. So they are vertical lines, they join the pole. So that you can say guys, these are the imaginary lines. They are vertical lines which are joining the pole. This is North Pole and this is South Pole. This is North Pole. This is South Pole. So both of these lines, they are joining the, so the North Pole and South Pole, they are being joined. So the lines which are joining the North Pole and South Pole, they are called longitudinal lines. So the lines which are joining the North Pole and South Pole, they are called longitudinal lines. Now guys, the line joining the North Pole and South Pole, they are called longitudinal lines, and they are imaginary vertical lines in nature. Now guys, what are the longitudinal lines? Now let's discuss about the features, then we will come about rest of it. So first of all, their feature, first of all, it is semicircular in nature. So they are semicircular. Semicircular in nature, plus horizontal vertical lines. Third feature of this is they are used to determine the time period. So they are used to determine the time period and date. They are used to determine the time period and date, and the longest and you can say that the distance between two longitudinal lines. So distance between two longitudinal lines, they are maximum on equator because it is bulged. So maximum on equator and minimum on pole. So maximum on equator and minimum on pole. Maximum on equator and minimum on. So maximum on equator. Why? Because you will find that the distance, because this equator is 0 degree, because the distance between the two parallel lines, this is maximum on equator around 111.32 kilometers, and it is minimum on poles because minimum that will become 0. So distance between two longitudinal lines, that is on poles, it becomes 0. So 0 on poles, maximum on equator. Therefore the distance of longitudinal line is not same always. So distance of longitudinal line is not same always. Is that clear to all of you? Now, first of all, guys, if you will see this longitudinal lines, what it divides. So it divides the Earth into Eastern Hemisphere and Western Hemisphere. So as the latitude line divides the Earth into Northern and Southern Hemisphere, the longitudinal line, they divide the Earth into Eastern Hemisphere and Western Hemisphere. So the area which is eastern to the prime meridian, so the area which is eastern to the prime meridian, that becomes Eastern Hemisphere, and the area which is western to the prime meridian, that becomes Western Hemisphere. And on the back side of the superimposed side of the prime meridian, you have international date line, that is called IDL. So on the superimposed side, that is on the back side of this prime meridian, there you will find IDL, that is called international date line. Is that clear to all of you? So it is clear to all of you guys. Now the distance between two longitudinal line on equator, that is around 111.32. So the distance between two longitudinal lines of the on equator, that is 111.32, and you will find that and the minimum distance is on pole which is. Other than this, guys, they are semicircular in nature. As I have told you, they are semicircular in shape and equal in length. Equal in length means 180 on the one side, 180 on another. So 180 on one side plus 180 on another. 180 on one side, 180 on another. Therefore, number of longitudinal lines, that becomes 360. So the number of longitudinal lines, that becomes 360, 180 on the eastern side, on 180 on the western side. So 118 on eastern side and 118 on western. So the number of longitudinal lines becomes 360. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you? Now let's come to the next thing, that is about the prime meridian. Prime meridian, guys, it is 0 degree longitude, that is called prime meridian. So prime meridian, it is also known as BM, Greenwich Mean Time. So this is called Greenwich Mean Time. Now the 0 degree longitude, this is called prime meridian. 0 degree longitude is called prime meridian, and the prime meridian, guys, that is passes from GMT, that is located in London. So this prime meridian, it passes through GMT, in which this is located in. So prime meridian, guys, and 180 degree north latitude divides the earth into eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. So prime meridian, this is 0 degree longitude and 180 degree north together. This is called international date line. This is called ideal international date line that divides the earth into two equal parts, eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. So prime meridian plus ideal that divides the earth into two parts, eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you? Okay. Now guys, let's come to the next some important pointers. First important pointer is 0 degree latitude, that is called equator. This is called equator, and 0 degree longitude, this is called prime meridian. This is GMT. They intersect each other in Atlantic Ocean, and that is called Gulf of Guinea, and there is an island which is called Null Island. So there is a place in Gulf of Guinea, this is called Null Island, where 0 degree latitude and 0 degree longitude intersect. So that is in the Atlantic Ocean, that is called Null Island. That is located in Gulf of Guinea. So in Gulf of Guinea, guys, you will find Null Island. So there Tropic of, that is Equator and prime meridian intersect each other. Next we have Tropic of Capricorn and 0 degree longitude. So Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south latitude plus 0 degree longitude. This is called prime meridian. Prime meridian, they meet each other in Atlantic Ocean. So we have like this 23.5 degrees south of equator that also intersects the prime meridian. So that meets in Atlantic Ocean. Next is Tropic of Cancer and prime meridian. Tropic of Cancer and prime meridian, they meets in south of Algeria. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees north of equator. This is latitudinal line. So this is 23.5 degrees north of equator. So that intersect in the south of Algeria. So that intersect south of Algeria. Is that clear, guys? These are the basic facts that you should remember. Next we have the things that is about the IST, that is the Indian Standard Time. So IST, that is Indian Standard Time. So in India we have one IST. So in India we have concept of one Indian Standard Time, and one Indian Standard Time, the IST it is adopted. It is taken from, it is 23.5 degree east. So it is 82.5 degree east of east meridian or east longitude. Better it to write long east longitude. Is 82.5 degree east of east longitude. That is called Indian Standard Time. And this Indian Standard Time passes through 5 states. Passes through 5. So this Indian Standard Time, that is IST, that passes through 5 states. And which are the states that you can remember? MOUCA, Mocha. M for Madhya Pradesh, for Odisha, U for Uttar Pradesh, C for Chhattisgarh, and A for Andhra. So these are the 5 states from where this, you can say, the Indian Standard Time passes, and it is IST is calculated from Mirzapur. IST is calculated from Mirzapur. Mirzapur, this is in, and Indian Standard Time is 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. So IST is 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. So we are 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. So the difference between Indian time and GMT, this is 5 hours 30 minutes. So we are 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. So Indian Standard Time is 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. What it means, guys, if GMT has 12:00 hours, so at that point of time in India we have 5:30 a.m. So what it means, so we are 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. That means if in GMT, this is in London, it is 00 hours, that is the midnight, and then we have in India, that is 5:30. So in India we have 5:30. So in India we have 5:30 a.m. Now, so India is 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. Now guys, the question comes, one very interesting question. Once it was called, it was being asked in NDA, that was the Indian Standard Time and Tropic of Cancer. This is Indian Standard Time, 82 degree, 82 and a half degree longitude, and this is 23 and a half degree north of equator. This is Tropic of Cancer. So this Tropic of Cancer and this Indian Standard Time, this is IST, which these two lines intersect in which state? So Indian Standard Time plus Tropic of Cancer, they intersect in which two states? So what will be the answer? So they intersect in Chhattisgarh. So they intersect in Chhattisgarh. Is that clear to all of you? So they intersect in Chhattisgarh. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear? In which two states they intersect? So they both of them intersect in Chhattisgarh. Is that clear to all of you? Whether Indian Standard Time plus Tropic of Cancer both intersect in Chhattisgarh. Is that clear to everyone? Okay. Now guys, come to the international date line. This is called IDL and it is 180 degree longitude. So IDL, it is also imaginary line and it has no legal status, no statutory status, and there you will find that this is also imaginary line and it is 180 degree longitude and it is zigzagging. So it is not a straight line, it is zigzag in nature. So 180 degree longitude, it is called international date line. So 180-degree longitude, it is called ideal. This is called international dateline. This is superimposed to prime meridian. So this is superimposed to prime meridian. So you will find that it is superimposed to prime meridian. Now guys, this 100 and this is superimposed by prime meridian. So this is superimposed by prime meridian. And next we have guys the international date line was set to 180-degree meridian in International Meridian Conference that was held in Washington, and that was held in 1884. So in 1884 guys, when this thing was happened, so International Meridian Conference happened. There it was decided that 180-degree longitude will be taken as international date line. And international date line guys, that passes from which of the water bodies? Arctic Sea, 𝗕cie Sea, Bering Strait and Pacific Ocean, and it is not straight line. So it is being folded. You will find it is folded from 3 times. So in fact it is said that it is folded 3 times. 3 times to keep, it is not a straight line, it is folded 3 times to keep the day and time of some of the countries safe. So guys, if it is a straight line, then you will find that in some of the countries, you will find 2 different dates on same day. So if it is a straight line, if it could be straight line, then you must have found 2 different dates on same day in same country. 2 different dates on the same day on same country. So it is zigzagged 3 times. Now guys, where it is being zigzagged? First of all, it is being zigzagged in Russia. So it is being zigzagged, or it is being folded in Russia. Then you have in Aleutian Island, and then you have in the Fiji and Tonga. So these are the 3 places from where you can say that it is being folded, but some of the books says 4, but it is actually 3. So some of the books says 4, but it is actually 3. Is that clear guys? Is that clear guys? Is that clear guys? The number of times the ideal is folded. The number of times the ideal is folded. Is that clear? So is that clear guys? For how many times? So it is 3 times folded. One is on Russia, then Aleutian Island, and then you will find that it is Fiji and Tonga. So 3 places this it is being folded. Is that clear to all of you? So this was about this international dateline. So it is folded 3 times. One is side of the Russia, then you have Aleutian Island, and then you have in the Fiji and Tonga. Is that clear to all of you? So that you can see in the map as well guys. This is international dateline and it is folded 3 times. In fact, so it is folded 3 times. So that is in Russia, then you have in the Aleutian Island, then you have in the Fiji and Tonga. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all guys? This has been folded 3 times. One in Russia, then Aleutian Island, then Fiji and Tonga. And it is not being kept straight line, because once it is kept in straight line, in same country in the same date you will experience two different dates. Same country, same day, two different dates. So that will disturb the whole situation of that country. Therefore, it is not being kept straight line. So is that clear to all of you? So guys, with this I conclude the session for today, and I hope you must have found the session interesting and useful for your upcoming examination. So that was all for the today. Let's meet in the next session.